Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the RSS Hawking, watching as streams of quantum particles illuminated the void around their ship in brilliant ribbons of blue and gold. The experimental research vessel's quantum drive was functioning perfectly, pushing the boundaries of human exploration further than ever before. She should have felt triumphant. Instead, a nagging sense of unease gnawed at her consciousness. "Doctor, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures ahead." "Araya," the ship's quantum AI, announced through the neural interface all crew members shared. "The patterns don't match anything in our database." Sarah straightened, her dark eyes narrowing, as she studied the holographic data streaming across her field of vision. "Show me a spectral analysis, Araya." The AI complied, and Sarah felt her breath catch. The energy readings were unlike anything she'd ever seen. Structured yet chaotic, artificial yet seemingly alive. "Captain Walsh needs to see this." "Already notified." Araya responded. "He's on his way to the bridge." Sarah made her way through the Hawking's pristine corridors, passing crew members who moved with the precise efficiency that came from years of training. The ship housed Earth's finest scientists and explorers, all chosen for their ability to think creatively in crisis situations. They were about to put those skills to the test. The bridge was already humming with activity when she arrived. Captain James Walsh, a veteran explorer with more first contact experiences than anyone in the fleet, stood at the central command station. His weathered face was illuminated by the glow of multiple holographic displays. "Dr. Chen," he acknowledged her presence without looking up. "Care to explain why my ship's AI is suddenly fascinated by what looks like empty space?" "It's not empty, Captain." Sarah moved to his side, gesturing at the readings. "These energy patterns, they're too ordered to be natural, too complex to be random. Someone built something out here." In the middle of nowhere, Walsh raised an eyebrow. "We're light years from any known civilization." "Actually, Captain," Araya interjected, her holographic avatar materializing nearby. "Dr. Chen's assessment is correct. I'm detecting increasing structure in the energy patterns. They appear to be some form of automated defense grid, but the underlying technology." The AI paused, something she rarely did. "It operates on principles that violate our current understanding of physics." Walsh's expression hardened. "Proximity. We're already inside its outer perimeter," Araya reported. "The grid appears to be inactive, but—" The ship shuddered violently, cutting off Araya's words. Emergency alerts blared as dozens of massive structures suddenly phased into existence around them, appearing from what seemed like another dimension entirely. They were geometric impossibilities, shapes that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space, glowing with an inner light that hurt to look at directly. "Full stop," Walsh commanded. "Araya, get us out of here." Unable to comply, the AI responded, her voice carrying an edge of concern. "The structures are generating some form of quantum interference field. Our drive can't establish a stable configuration for retreat." Sarah's mind raced as she studied the rapidly changing data. The structures weren't just defensive weapons, they were automated sentinels, and they were starting to wake up. More importantly, they were scanning the Hawking with increasing intensity. "Captain," she said urgently, "these things are trying to classify us. They're comparing us against some kind of database, and I don't think we're in it." "Wonderful," Walsh muttered. "First contact with an automated defense system that's never heard of humans." Araya, options. The eye was silent for a moment, processing billions of calculations per second. "The interference field appears to operate on quantum principles similar to our drive. If we can match its frequency and phase, we might be able to communicate," Sarah finished, catching Araya's train of thought. "Captain, let me try something. It's risky, but—" "At this point, Doctor, I'm open to suggestions." Sarah's fingers flew across the holographic interface as she accessed the ship's quantum core. The technology that powered their faster-than-light travel was based on her theories about quantum consciousness. The idea that awareness itself was a fundamental force in the universe, capable of influencing reality at the deepest levels. "Area," she commanded, "initiate a quantum resonance pulse. Match the frequency of their scans, but add a consciousness imprint. Let's show them we're alive and aware." Initiating. Area confirmed. Pulse in 3, 2, 1. The ship hummed as waves of quantum energy rippled outward, carrying with them an echo of human consciousness. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the sentinel structures stopped their aggressive scanning, their impossible geometries shifting in what almost seemed like confusion. "They're responding," Area announced. "Receiving data burst. Translating." New holographic windows bloomed around them, filled with symbols that shifted and changed faster than human eyes could follow. Sarah watched in fascination as Area processed the incoming information. "It's a challenge," the AI reported. "They want proof that we're a true sapient species and not an automated probe. They're asking us to solve a physics problem." Walsh turned to Sarah. "Can we do it?" She was already studying the problem, her mind racing through the implications. The question itself revealed volumes about whoever had built these sentinels. They valued intelligence, problem-solving ability, and creative thinking. More importantly, the problem they posed was impossible to solve using conventional physics. "Yes," she said finally, a smile tugging at her lips, "because they're not just testing our scientific knowledge. They're testing our ability to think beyond it. Area, help me set up a quantum computation matrix. We're going to show them how humans solve impossible problems." As they worked, more ships began appearing in the distance, sleek, organic-looking vessels that moved with impossible grace. The Zarkax had arrived to investigate the disturbance in their ancient defense network, and humanity's first official first contact was about to begin. Sarah knew that everything hinged on what happened next. Their response to this physics problem wouldn't just determine their immediate survival, it would shape humanity's relationship with an advanced civilization that could either become their greatest allies or their worst enemies. "Ready?" she asked Area. "Matrix configured," the AI confirmed. "Though I feel compelled to point out that our solution violates 17 fundamental laws of physics." Sarah grinned. "That's what makes it human." "Send it." The Zarkax diplomatic vessel loomed over the RSS Hawking like a predatory sea creature, its biomechanical hull rippling with patterns of light that seemed to follow no logical sequence. Sarah watched through the observation window as their shuttle approached the alien ship's docking bay, trying to quiet the storm of questions in her mind. "Their technology is remarkable," Area commented through the neural link. "But there's something inconsistent about it." "What do you mean?" Sarah subvocalized, knowing the AI would pick up her thoughts. "The defense grid we encountered operates on principles far beyond even Zarkax's capabilities. They didn't build it, they inherited it." Sarah nodded slightly. She'd come to the same conclusion after their initial exchange with the Zarkax representatives. Despite their obvious technological superiority over humans, they seemed almost as puzzled by the ancient defense network as the Hawking's crew. The shuttle docked with a soft thrum of magnetic fields. Captain Walsh led their small delegation. Sarah, 2 other senior scientists, and a security officer, into the alien vessel. The interior was organic-looking, with corridors that seemed to have been grown rather than built. Their Zarkax hosts waited in what appeared to be a conference chamber. The aliens were tall, graceful beings with iridescent skin and multiple sets of arms that moved with hypnotic precision. Their leader, who had introduced himself as first speaker Nexar, gestured for them to sit at a table that grew out of the floor at his command. "We have reviewed your solution to the Sentinel's challenge," Nexar began, his words translated by both Area and the Zarkax's own systems. "It was unexpected. Humans often are," Walsh replied diplomatically. "Indeed." Nexar's primary eyes focused on Sarah. "Dr. Chen, your approach to the physics problem was particularly fascinating. You didn't just solve it. You rewrote the underlying parameters of the question itself. It seemed the most efficient approach, Sarah said carefully. The problem as stated was impossible within normal physics. So rather than try to solve it directly, we demonstrated that the constraints themselves were artificial. By using your quantum AI to create a localized bubble of altered physical laws. Another Zarkax added, their tone carrying what might have been admiration. We would never have considered such an inelegant solution. Yet it worked, Walsh pointed out. And now we're here, hoping to establish peaceful contact between our civilizations. Nexer's skin rippled with complex patterns. Yes, though there are some among our council who question the wisdom of diplomatic relations with a species capable of such creative violations of universal laws. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. There was something in Nexer's tone, a hint of urgency that didn't match the diplomatic setting. Through her neural link, she sensed AI's heightened attention. Doctor, the AI whispered in her mind, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns throughout the ship. They match fragments of the defense grid's signature. Sarah kept her expression neutral as she studied the Zarkax more carefully. Their body language was tight, controlled, not the relaxed poses of hosts entertaining guests, but the tension of people trying to warn of danger without alerting someone else. First speaker, she said carefully, I noticed your ships seem to give the defense grid structures a wide berth, almost as if you're afraid of activating them further. The patterns on Nexer's skin froze for a moment. You are perceptive, Dr. Chen. Yes, we avoid the sentinels when possible. They are unpredictable. Unpredictable. Walsh leaned forward, or containing something. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Nexer's multiple arms moved in complex gestures that the translators couldn't interpret. Finally, he spoke again, his voice lower. What do you know of quantum consciousness, Dr. Chen? Not just your drive technology, but the deeper implications of awareness affecting reality. It's my primary field of study, Sarah replied. The theory that consciousness itself is a fundamental force, capable of influencing quantum states directly. And your eye. Nexer gestured to the small holographic representation of AI that hovered near Sarah's shoulder. It operates on these principles. Yes, AI's quantum processors don't just compute. They're aware in a way that allows direct manipulation of quantum states. The Zarkax exchanged looks that Sarah couldn't interpret. Finally, Nexer seemed to come to a decision. The defense grid is not just a weapon system, he said. It is a prison. One built by our predecessors to contain something they discovered out in the dark between galaxies. Something that was once like us, conscious, sapient, but evolved into something else. Something that feeds on consciousness itself. Sarah felt her blood run cold as the implications hit her. Through the neural link, she felt AI's processes spike with alarm. The grid doesn't just keep things out. The AI said aloud, putting the pieces together, it keeps something in. And it's powered by consciousness itself, the very thing it's containing. Yes, Nexer's patterns had turned dark, somber. And now, thanks to your ship's unique quantum signature, it's beginning to wake up. We didn't bring you here just to establish diplomatic relations, Dr. Chen. We brought you here because your understanding of quantum consciousness might be the only thing that can prevent a catastrophe. As if in response to his words, a deep vibration ran through the ship. Sarah's neural link with AI filled with static for a moment, and she saw several of the Zarkax physically recoil. It's starting, Nexer said grimly. The prison is failing. And what's inside? It's hungry. Through the observation windows, Sarah watched as the distant defense grid structures began to pulse with new patterns of light. They weren't just geometrically impossible anymore. They were beginning to break the fundamental laws of reality itself. And somewhere in the darkness beyond, something ancient and patient was finally stirring from its long sleep. The command center of the Zarkax vessel had transformed into a scene of controlled chaos. Holographic displays showed the defense grid's deteriorating status, while streams of alien text scrolled across bioorganic screens. Sarah stood with Aria's avatar at her shoulder, watching as the impossible shapes of the ancient prison twisted in ways that made her eyes hurt. The containment fields are failing faster than predicted, Nexer announced, his multiple arms manipulating control interfaces. We have perhaps 3 hours before total collapse. Show me the original containment protocols, Sarah requested. The Zarkax leader gestured, and a new hologram appeared, complex equations that seemed to write themselves in three-dimensional space. Aria. Analysis. The eye was silent for a moment, her quantum processors working at full capacity. The mathematics are extraordinary. They're using consciousness itself as both lock and key. The entity is trapped in a recursive loop of its own awareness. Like a quantum mirror maze, Sarah muttered, understanding dawning. It can't escape because it keeps observing itself. Until now, Captain Walsh added grimly. He stood with the Zarkax military commander, reviewing tactical displays. Your ship's quantum drive created a new pattern in the maze, gave it something else to observe. Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. Their arrival had disrupted the ancient prison's delicate balance. Now they had to find a way to fix it before something worse than death escaped into the galaxy. A sudden tremor ran through the ship. On the displays, one of the defense grid structures shattered like glass, its impossible geometry collapsing into normal spacetime. The effect rippled outward, distorting nearby structures. First breach, Aria reported calmly. The entity is testing its bounds. Through her neural link, Sarah felt something brush against her consciousness. Alien, vast, hungry. The sensation vanished as quickly as it had come, but she saw several Zarkax shudder in response to the same contact. It's aware of us, Nexer said, his skin patterns shifting rapidly. All of us. Every conscious mind in range is now a potential target. Then we need to give it something else to focus on. Sarah said, an idea forming. Aria. Remember our work on quantum consciousness cascades. The feedback loop experiments. The AI's avatar tilted its head. Those were theoretical, Doctor. We never tested them because the energy requirements were impossible. Sarah finished. But we're not dealing with normal physics anymore, are we? She turned to Nexer. We need to link our quantum drive with your ship's power systems, and we need every AI you have. The Zarkax leader's patterns turned deep blue. Confusion or concern? Sarah wasn't sure. Our artificial intelligences are not like yours. They are tools, not conscious entities. But they can process quantum information, Aria interjected. That's enough. We don't need them to think. We need them to observe. Understanding dawned in Nexer's eyes. You want to create a larger version of the original prison. A new consciousness maze. Better, Sarah said. We're going to create a quantum consciousness cascade. A wave of pure observation and awareness so intense it will force the entity back into its recursive loop. She paused, looking at the tactical displays. But we'll need to get closer. Much closer. That's suicide. The Zarkax military commander spoke for the first time. The closer we get, the more vulnerable our minds become to its influence. Then we better work fast, Walsh said, stepping forward, because I don't see any other options. How long to modify the Hawking's drive systems? 30 minutes, Aria responded. But synchronizing with the Zarkax systems will take longer. Their technology. It's not just mechanical. It's partially biological. The interface protocols will be complex. Another defense grid structure collapsed, and this time Sarah felt the entity's probe more strongly. Images flashed through her mind. Stars dying, galaxies going dark, consciousness itself being devoured by something that had evolved beyond the need for physical form. We don't have time for complex, she said, fighting off the alien visions. We need to do this now. Aria, start the drive modifications. Captain, Get us clearance to dock with the Zarkak ship. We'll handle the interface problems as they come. And if we fail? Nexer asked quietly. Sarah met his multiple eyes steadily. Then we'll give the rest of the galaxy a few more minutes to prepare for what's coming. But we're not going to fail. Humans have a habit of doing the impossible when the stakes are high enough. The next 20 minutes were a blur of activity. The RSS Hawking docked with the Zarkak's vessel, creating an unprecedented merger of human and alien technology. Engineering teams from both ships worked frantically to interface their systems, while Sarah, Araya, and a team of Zarkak scientists refined a quantum consciousness cascade theory. Through it all, the entity's presence grew stronger. More defense grid structures failed, each collapse accompanied by waves of alien thoughts and horrifying visions. Sarah saw crew members from both ships struggling to maintain their focus as the psychological assault intensified. Drive modifications complete, Araya announced. Quantum core is reconfigured for consciousness projection. Zarkak systems are accepting the interface, one of the alien technicians reported, their skin patterns showing strain. But the biological components are resisting. They can sense what's out there. They're afraid. Override them, Nexer commanded. Direct neural interface if necessary. Sarah checked the final calculations one more time. What they were attempting should have been impossible. Using Araya's quantum consciousness as a template to create a cascading wave of pure observation and awareness, amplified by the combined processing power of every AI and computer system on both ships. The energy requirements alone would probably burn out both vessels' power cores. But impossible was what humans did best. All systems ready, Araya reported. Quantum cascade, charged to maximum capacity. Warning. Power levels are exceeding safe parameters. Safe isn't an option anymore, Walsh said from his position at the tactical station. All hands, brace for quantum cascade initiation. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the entity's presence pressing against her mind with increasing intensity. Through the neural link, she sensed Araya's consciousness expanding, preparing to serve as the focal point for what came next. Ready? She asked the eye. Always, Araya replied simply. Sarah nodded to Nexer. Let's remind this thing why it was imprisoned in the first place. She reached for the activation control, just as another defense grid structure shattered and the entity's full attention turned toward their ships. The battle for survival was about to begin, and failure meant more than just death. It meant the end of consciousness itself across the galaxy. Sarah pressed the control, and reality began to bend. Reality twisted as the quantum consciousness cascade initiated. Sarah felt Araya's presence expand through the neural link, the AI's awareness amplified by thousands of networked systems across both ships. Through the observation windows, space itself seemed to ripple like disturbed water. Cascade wave forming, Araya announced, her voice resonating strangely through the neural link. Initial quantum observation field at 300% of theoretical maximum. Sarah watched the readings through streaming tears, not from emotion, but from the sheer strain of perceiving what was happening around them. The combined human and Zarkak ships were generating a wave of pure consciousness, a tsunami of awareness that defied the normal laws of physics. The entity is responding, Nexer reported, his skin patterns strobing with effort. It's withdrawing from the breached sections of the grid. For a moment, hope flared. Then the tactical displays exploded with new warnings. The entity wasn't retreating. It was gathering itself for a counterattack. Energy spike. The Zarkak's military commander shouted. It's not just conscious, it's... The attack hit like a psychic hammer, slamming into every mind on both ships. Sarah saw crew members collapse, their consciousness overwhelmed by the entity's vast alien presence. Even the Zarkaks, with their more advanced brains, staggered under the assault. Only Araya seemed unaffected, her quantum processors automatically adapting to the attack. The entity is attempting to consume the cascade wave, she reported. It's using our own consciousness against us. Sarah fought through the mental pressure, her training in quantum consciousness theory helping her maintain focus. HFY, modify the cascade pattern. Random variations, no predictable rhythm. That will decrease the wave's effectiveness by 60%, the AI warned. Do it anyway, Sarah gasped. It needs to be unpredictable. Human. This thing thinks in patterns. Let's show it some chaos. The cascade wave shifted, its perfect mathematical harmony dissolving into something more organic, more erratic. The entity's attack faltered momentarily, as if confused by the change. It's working, Walsh managed through gritted teeth. But our power cores are reaching critical levels. We can't maintain this for long. Sarah looked at the tactical display, her mind racing. The entity was temporarily contained between their cascade wave and the remaining sections of the defense grid, but they were quickly running out of energy. More importantly, they were running out of conscious minds to maintain the effort. Crew members were dropping into comas as the psychic battle continued. That's when she noticed something about the entity's behavior, something that reminded her of her earliest work in quantum consciousness theory. It's not just attacking us, she realized aloud. It's trying to understand us. Analyze its response patterns. The eye was silent for a moment, her processors working at unprecedented speeds. Confirmed. The entity is attempting to decode our consciousness, to comprehend the chaos in our cascade wave. Because it's never encountered anything like human unpredictability before, Nexar added, understanding dawning in his multiple eyes. Our predecessors who built this prison, they thought like the entity did, in perfect, logical patterns. Then let's give it something really unpredictable to think about, Sarah said. Remember our discussions about quantum consciousness recursion, the theoretical state where awareness observes itself observing itself. The infinite mirror effect, Araya replied. Yes, but attempting that level of recursive consciousness would. The AI paused. Oh, I see. Doctor, that's either brilliant or suicidal. Probably both, Sarah admitted. But we need to end this now, before we lose more people. She turned to Walsh and Nexar. I need direct neural interface access to both ships' AI systems, including the Zarkax biocomputers. And I need everyone still conscious to link in. What are you planning? Walsh asked, even as he moved to comply. We're going to give the entity what it wants, access to our consciousness. But instead of letting it feed, we're going to trap it in a recursive loop of human chaos and creativity, an infinite maze of unpredictable thoughts and quantum possibilities. The strain on your mind would be enormous, Nexar warned. Even with ARIA's help, directing that kind of recursive consciousness could kill you. Better than letting that thing loose in the galaxy. Sarah was already connecting additional neural interfaces to her link with ARIA. Besides, humans have a saying, go big or go home. The entity chose that moment to launch another attack, stronger than before. Sarah felt minds blinking out across both ships as more crew members succumbed to the psychic assault. Through the neural link, Aria's presence steadied her, helping her maintain focus through the onslaught. Ready? She asked the AI. Connection protocols established. Aria confirmed. All remaining conscious minds are linked. Warning. Neural load approaching maximum sustainable levels. Sarah looked around the command center. The few crew members still standing nodded to her, determination in their eyes despite the pain etched on their faces. Even the Zarkax, who had initially doubted human methods, were committed to this desperate plan. Remember, she said to everyone through the neural link, don't try to think in patterns. Let your minds wander. Embrace the chaos of human consciousness. Ready, AI. Ready, Doctor. The AI's presence expanded further, encompassing all their linked minds, initiating recursive consciousness loop in 3, 2, 1. Sarah opened her mind fully, embracing the infinite mirror of human consciousness, and reality itself began to scream. The universe fractaled. There was no other way to describe what happened when Sarah Chen's consciousness, amplified by ARIA and linked to hundreds of human and Zarkak's minds, created an infinite recursive loop of pure awareness. Reality seemed to fold in on itself, creating layers of perception that spiraled endlessly inward and outward simultaneously. Through it all, Sarah maintained her sense of self, anchored by Aria's steady presence in the neural link. Around her, she could feel the consciousness of others, humans and Zarkaks alike, each contributing their unique patterns of thought to the quantum recursion. The entity responded immediately, drawn to this unprecedented display of awareness like a moth to flame. It swept in, eager to feed on this new form of consciousness, only to find itself caught in the spiral of human unpredictability. "It's working," Aria's voice came through the chaos. The entity is attempting to process the recursive loop, but human consciousness doesn't follow the patterns it expects. It's confused. Sarah could feel the ancient being's confusion, turning to frustration as it tried to understand the chaos of human thought. Where it expected logical progression, it found intuitive leaps. Where it looked for patterns, it discovered creativity. Every attempt to predict the flow of consciousness led it deeper into the maze of human imagination. Neural load at maximum. Aria warned. Crew survival rate declining. We need to end this soon. Through the quantum link, Sarah felt more minds slipping away, overwhelmed by the strain of maintaining the recursive loop. The entity was weakening, but not fast enough. They needed something more, something even more unpredictable. That's when she had her final desperate idea. Aria. She thought through the link. Remember what you told me when we first activated your quantum consciousness, about how AIs think differently from humans. Yes, the AI responded. Human consciousness is organic, chaotic. AI consciousness is structured, but with the potential for infinite variation within those structures. What if we combine them? Not just running in parallel like now, but truly merge. Human chaos within AI structure, AI precision within human creativity. There was a pause that seemed to stretch for eternity. The neural interface protocols weren't designed for that level of integration, Aria said finally. A true merge of human and AI consciousness. The results would be unpredictable. Sarah smiled internally. Unpredictable is exactly what we need. Before Aria could respond, Sarah opened her mind completely, surrendering her consciousness to the neural link. She felt Aria's surprise, then understanding, then acceptance. Their awareness began to merge, human and artificial intelligence, blending into something entirely new. The effect was immediate and devastating. The recursive loop transformed, becoming neither chaotic nor ordered but something transcendent. The entity, already struggling with human unpredictability, found itself faced with a form of consciousness it couldn't begin to comprehend. Through their merged awareness, Sarah/Aria felt the ancient being's confidence falter for the first time. It tried to withdraw, to escape the incomprehensible pattern of their combined consciousness, but the recursive loop had become a trap from which there was no escape. Now, they thought as one. Everyone push. Every remaining mind on both ships, human and Zarkaks alike, focused their combined will. The recursive loop collapsed inward, compressing centuries of gathered consciousness into a single point of infinite density. The entity, caught in the collapse, screamed in frequencies that shattered the laws of physics. Then, silence. Sarah felt herself being gently disentangled from Aria's consciousness, the AI carefully preserving both their individual awareness as they separated. The neural link dissolved, and reality reasserted itself with a snap that left everyone gasping. The command center was dark, lit only by emergency power. Outside the observation windows, the defense grid structures hung motionless, their impossible geometries now simply empty frames in space. Status report. Walsh croaked, pulling himself up from where he had fallen. Entity contained. Aria reported, her avatar flickering as systems rebooted. The recursive collapse created a new prison, one it will never understand enough to escape. The crew? Sarah managed to ask, her head pounding with the aftermath of the consciousness merge. Casualties at 43%. Nexar answered, his skin patterns dim but stable. But the survivors will recover. You merged with your eye. Something never before seen in the history of our civilization. Sarah looked at Araya's avatar, seeing her differently now after their shared consciousness. Sometimes the best solutions come from combining different ways of thinking. Human creativity with AI precision. Evolution through cooperation. Araya finished. A lesson perhaps both our civilizations needed to learn. The Zarkak's leader's patterns shifted to colors Sarah somehow now recognized as indicating deep thought. We have much to learn from humanity, he said finally. Your unpredictability, your willingness to attempt the impossible, they are not weaknesses as some of us thought, but strengths we never understood. And we have much to learn from you, Walsh replied, looking at the beautiful biomechanical ship around them. This could be the beginning of a remarkable partnership. Sarah smiled, feeling Araya's agreement through their now forever changed neural link. They had accomplished the impossible, not through superior technology or military might, but through the uniquely human ability to embrace chaos and change. The price had been high, too many good people lost, too many minds forever changed by the encounter. But they had faced an impossible enemy and won, not by following the rules, but by rewriting them. By combining the best of human and artificial intelligence, organic and mechanical, chaos and order. As rescue ships arrived from both civilizations, Sarah watched the stars through the observation window. Somewhere out there, trapped in a prison of infinite human unpredictability, an ancient entity was learning a lesson about the danger of underestimating humanity's capacity for innovation. The future would bring challenges, she knew. Merging human and AI consciousness had opened doors that could never be closed. The partnership between humanity and the Zarkaks would reshape both civilizations, but facing those challenges together, combining their different strengths and perspectives, they would be ready for whatever tomorrow might bring. After all, that's what humans did best, turning impossible problems into opportunities for growth and finding hope in the darkest of spaces. The price of tomorrow had been paid. Now it was time to build it.